Hey, what's up? Welcome. I've never really seen myself going back to this team ever, but I got a really interesting comment. So I decided, you know what? Just because of it, I'm actually gonna go back and test what he said. Using this team's from like 6 months ago for me, but what he said was like you just replacing Green Liz with LR Liz, and it should be pretty easy to cook. Because in general, like a lot of people still cannot make Freya's relic even if they have her. So this team is like a step up. So if you just slide LR Liz, it makes the team way better, and you can actually like clear floor 3. Because I don't think but with normal Liz, you are really able to like push out the extra DPS and survive long enough to really get the floor 3, or you would need like an insane run to get the floor 3 clear. So I just had to go back and test to see how much easier it actually would be. And yeah, this really surprised me, like how easily I actually went through this. Because I was thinking back then, like 6, 7, 8 months ago, while using this team to clear Nid, it would be like 40 minutes sometimes to actually get a good clear in, and sometimes your team falls short even while running like 40 minutes. This team actually, like the DPS we have now is so much more, and I'm running the same gear set. I have not changed anything per gear set. Miles literally on the same attack gear set. Nothing has changed. But having LR Liz here now is just like the survivability goes up by a lot than just running Green Liz. Green Liz has the extra healing, but I think not having the extra stats, it really does count for a lot, and it really shows like an extra bit of stats really just can shoot your team forward that much. And yes, I'm gonna speed up the footage by 1.4. So it's gonna be a bit faster, because the entire footage was like 30 something minutes, which is still not, it's better than 40. Don't get me wrong, it's still better than 40 something, but it's still quite a bit of time for like a clear. Because nowadays, like if I'm using my main team, I can get it done like 15-20 minutes at most. But this is still a pretty good way to get your clears. And if you don't have like a proper team setup, or you're missing the relics, this team still works pretty good. Also, that is if you're actually gonna choose to LR Liz, because it's really a choice. If you can't really get all of them, this is a good way so you can farm your relics consistently, well, more consistent, as opposed to like probably getting LR melee for PvP and farming, or Escanor for like more PvE stuff, or PvP, because I think currently human teams is meta. Also, the only thing that really changed for all gauge for me was probably Tarmiel. Like, because my Mile is still 1.6, my Ludo is 6.6. She was before. And my Tarmiel was like, I think 1 or 2.6 back then. Now he's 5.6. My Liz is only 2.6, but anyone that has her at probably 3.46 would be like getting way more attack stat from it. So you would go through this faster, and your DPS would be way higher. Just keep that in mind, because the alt gauge for Liz does count for a lot of DPS missing here. So my 2.6 Liz is only giving 10%. If you have like 4%, if you have like a 4.6 alt, it's like 20%. Or 6.6 is like 30%. So if you have a 6.6, that's like amazing. Even if you're running this team, the DPS you would have is like so much more. And trust me, it will actually show, because you're gonna be spamming these ults. So most of the time you're always gonna have a Liz ult up. So you're just gonna be like rolling through it most of the time. And just having that extra bit of attack is pretty nice to have. Floor 1 does go down like reasonably fast with no problems whatsoever. What I really where the problems I not really problems where the complications I think really start, it might be at phase 3 of floor 2. Other than that, I don't think there's much of a problem, right? Because there are a few things like you gotta play in certain ways so you can get through it, because your team, there are certain mechanics like not having enough stance removals. It's gonna really hold back in certain situations where you would think it should not, but luckily this team is insanely tanky. Yeah, I had to like play floor 2 like this just so I could actually like get my Liz ult to go through. I just had to get it because being full HP most of the time, you want the person you want Tarmiel to be targeted, and you need everyone to be like topped up so he's like at the lowest HP. So that's why I opted for that play over the next. And Ludo's passive and Tarmiel passive will be getting maxed pretty fast. It's just about like proccing Liz a few times quick enough so you can like your team could be at max power like within a few turns. There are turns like where you'll see me holding back my Mile ultimate. That's for good reason, because we remember we only have one singular stance removal card, and that is Mile's ult. So what I think I would change in some of these plays would be like prioritizing Mile's ult first. We should like push his ult secondary and try for like Margaret and Tarmiel's ult faster. Because there are times where I shouldn't be pushing Miles ult where I end up pushing it. Because we just need to save it for like situational stance removal on certain floors. And that can keep you back, because if you don't really have a stance removal, it can be like really sucky, and it will like inhibit how fast you go through these floors. Unfortunately, that's one of the rare things that it's sad to see, but it is what it is. I'm just happy that LR Liz is able to push her ult back to back this quickly. It's just so good. Like phase 3 now, right? So this is where you normally need to hit your damage checks. And as long as you have like a decent, because I tried to like save back a few of my Mile cards before getting to phase 3. But as long as you have like 1 or 2 extra, you can have it so you can reproc Liz's ult, use his ult, do some damage, and just try to cycle off of him while getting like an extra Margaret or Tarmiel ult. So you can like keep his bar reasonably low. And the good thing of having LR Liz, you can like heal every turn if you have like decent card draw with her. But if you don't, but there are times, or I can see there would be times where maybe you don't pull enough Mile cards, or you didn't get like an extra Liz card to like cycle off of. Like I can see your team falling off a bit. But I think just if you're having a problem with this, just hold back on your phase 2, and try to save Mile Cuts and just go through that phase with more ults. If it's that really like a tough situation on RNG card draw for like Mile cards or Liz cards, especially for a cleanse, because you want to have a cleanse before getting ulted here to just get the most of your HP before you kill on the following turn. That's exactly what I try to do, because it's much easier just to pop a Liz, fully heal up, and just go through. Because it's guaranteed full HP, because you're not going to be taking corrosion the turn before. Yeah, and floor 2 is not as hard. Before, like, I would be struggling for floor 2 clears. Like, this team was a nightmare. It was so much RNG to actually hit and proc properly. But now with LR Liz, it's really not as hard. Floor 3. Okay, this is where things got a bit complicated, because I could do this two ways. I could either push three ultimates and go through, or I can literally save for a level 3 card and go through. Now, the level 3 card is probably the safer way, honestly. Or just push like a ton of level 2 cards. But the thing is, right, it's so easy to push 3 ultimates with Liz. I opted for that reason just because it's faster. And the thing about doing it like that, I think I may have thrown off my rotation of like the stance removals. Because if you don't know, phase 2, you actually need like a stance removal on the turn 1, because he'll have like a damage buff on himself. And I just didn't really play it optimally. So that's why I think my floor 3 run took quite a bit extra time, because I played it badly. I probably should have like stayed back, built up my hand properly before going through, and having a Mile Ult turn 1 for that phase. I just decided, you know what, I'm just gonna push through ultimates and just do it. I probably should not have done it like this, but it did work. It took me a slight bit longer time, but it did work. Also, right here, this my level 2, I shouldn't have used that, honestly, because I knew he was gonna die, but I just wanted like an extra ult gauge from my. I probably should have just used like one of the AoEs. I wanted to like merge him, because he's not gonna get attacked, right? So I just wanted to merge him, pop the Liz ult, so he would get like a full gauge. But things just like were up to play, so I just ended up using both anyway. Yeah, so that buff in the top left, that's the buff. Once you ult him to remove the stance, he loses it. But since I didn't really remove it, I'm gonna have to stay around an extra turn. The thing is, right now I'm off cycle because he's already stancing, and I gotta opt basically, should I save it or not? Because I would be getting back his ult if I saved it before. Because I'm gonna ult on turn 1, push it for turn 2, and then by turn 3 I have it back already in my hand. But now since it's gonna be played like this, I'm basically offset, so I gotta take an extra 2 turns of DPS. That's why I say I'm very lucky how tanky this team is, because a normal team would not be able to survive 2 turns of extra DPS on this phase. That's why I think my L team is so strong. And this is where I finally started like cycling properly, and I just stack 1 or 2 darkness on to just like sacrifice a little. Like 1 or 2 darkness isn't gonna kill you, just so I can like keep cycling my Liz ult. I think it's better, right? It's better for the cause. Having her ult up is probably the better situation than not, right? Right here, I do need a Mile ult because stance is coming, and because I want to pass this phase, because the bar is only at 10, and if I pop these, I'm basically gonna be back at 0, and he's gonna have his damage buff again. I decided, you know what, we survived the first 2 turns without it. You know, I think we can probably survive the rest. and I zero it out. I decided to, because if I didn't have the attack, he would be at 1%. So I zeroed it out. I gave him the extra attack, and I decided we'll just have to like weather the storm. My hands is getting like really stacked up with a lot of buff cards. I just want to like thin out the hand so I can just pull new cards. So my phase 2 is basically me getting attacked by his buffed up hands for a lot. Was debating here if I should wait one more turn so I can go into phase 3 with an ultimate. And honestly, I think I should have. Because let's just say the card draw is not the best. If my card draw was maybe stronger here, or if I had an ult going into this, because normally I try to hit like max percentage, right? The thing is, with these cards, I can't. I just can't. And I don't have an ultimate up to help me like hit at least 50%. Just push it over to like 70% of his HP. Like Mile does do a mill with his single target, but I don't have anything to follow it up with. So I can't really push off for the full percentage of the bar. So that alone is going to keep you back with the DPS phases. That already means you're not going to be able to clear this in the fastest amount of times. And as you can see, my card draw is not the strongest at all. I'm pulling like a lot of useless stuff. And I think him getting his buff before you can like completely drain his bar is a problem, because that alone is going to take you like an extra 2 minutes or so, just because. I need a stance removal and it's off again, literally. So every time I push it wrongly. So that's why I think maybe being more mindful of whose ult you push in which scenario is better, because most of the time I'm having Miles ult up when I think I should have had someone else's. And in this situation, I have to get Miles. I have to keep Miles ultimate just because, like, you can't really ult into this reflect because you will take damage. So I need to actually remove it. And in one turn, he's basically gonna get like his buff up, so it's gonna be a tougher way. And I like the DPS cards are not really flowing right now. Yeah, like one ultimate is like 50, basically 50%, and then Mile will just push it through. But at this point, it's not enough. He already procced his buff, which is gonna make this hit, which is gonna make him like that much more tanky. And now, like, to push out the last bit of percentage is gonna cost me a bit. I guess that is like reasons why having Freya in this team is so much easier, because you can like have your stance removals on cue without having to really worry about like burning certain ults. But it's doable. You really just have to manage how you play it, and I think it should not be much of an issue. And this is where I think LR Liz having an extra cleanse does come in handy, because sometimes you would, before what would happen on like this floor for me, I would not have a cleanse, because green Liz, you need a level 2 to cleanse, and for most part like rank downs are a thing. So Liz having that cleanse with so much healing, giving stats, everything, the all-round plays, like she's actually able to avoid you. She's like the best support, I think. Like, and for just this end phase here now, since the bar is at 0, just getting through this last bit of like buffed up stats, it's gonna be kind of tough if you don't pull like proper TPS cards, because if you hit him down to like 10% off his HP, he's gonna like shoot back up to like 30%, then lifesteal back up. You're gonna have to have ults on hand to like make sure you can push him over and get that kill. Bro, the stats right now are kind of crazy, okay? Like, you would think we'd be shooting through this way faster, but I think if I had cycled my cards better, I could have, but it is what it is. I just couldn't. So, yeah. Pretty old team with new Liz. Hope you guys enjoyed. As always, thank you for watching. I'll see you boys in the next one.